Hey peoples, this is another movie review of the Netflix film Lost Girls. Before I begin this review, I want to give a disclaimer. I am reviewing the movie, just the movie. Now, the reason I give that disclaimer is because this movie is based off of a true story, and for some reason, people get very upset if you have any negative critiques about a movie based on a true story. I'm not reviewing the individual people or the event, I'm only reviewing the film and how it was presented to me, so please try not to take anything personally. But that's all, moving on. So Lost Girls is about a young lady named Shannon who goes missing, and her mother Marie is on a mission to find her. Now, Shannon was a sex worker, and the girls portion of the title refers to the other women who are also sex workers and have gone missing. Now, their occupation ties into the story, and that's why I'm telling you that, but that's pretty much the basics of the movie. So unfortunately, I did not enjoy this movie, and my biggest negative happens to be the main character of the film, and that's the mom, Marie Gilbert. She was so annoying. About as annoying as Will's screaming mom in the first Stranger Things season. And my biggest grievance is the power that the movie gives her, which I guess was to present her as a supermom that would basically do anything for her child, which I understand, but she does a lot of things with no repercussions at all. She just storms into the police precinct whenever she wants to, she leaves threatening messages for the cops, she makes false 911 calls, and she walks under police tape whenever she feels like it. And what makes those specific things annoying is that the movie is showing us that the cops are doing some portion of their job, but then the character and the movie kind of tries to frame it like the cops aren't doing their job at all. So her popping up to complain that they're not doing any work, and also scenes mixed with them actually doing work, pretty much contradict with what the movie is showing us. Also, what makes Marie annoying is that everything is super convenient for her. After her daughter goes missing, she goes to her daughter's boyfriend's house, and he tells Marie, "I haven't seen your daughter in a while, you need to go talk to her driver." So Marie goes to a bar and she just happens to know who the driver is. She walks into the bar and just walks straight up to him. Even though the movie tells us that those two worlds are separate, Shannon's mom and her sisters don't know anything that she does, but apparently the mom just knows who the driver is and walks straight up to him in the bar. She just happens to know that's the guy. Another example of a convenient moment is when the two main cops of the movie are walking out of a building and they're talking about the case. And one of them asks a question, and the mom pops up out of nowhere in the dark and just answers the question. Do you realize how convenient that is? They have to be talking about her specific case. She is waiting in the dark, walks up and has to answer the exact question that they happen to ask, and she was just ready. Like, what? How? It just makes parts of the story too unbelievable. But the presentation of the story does have a few holes here and there. For example, the cops tell Marie not to talk about her daughter Shannon to anyone, basically don't go talk to the news, and she doesn't, and the movie shows us that she doesn't, but yet somehow Shannon's name pops up in the news. The movie doesn't show us how that happened, but now she's a part of the story with the other women that were found at a crime scene. It felt like the movie missed a couple of steps on that one. Also, there are a few characters that are mentioned in the movie, but it takes entirely too long for the movie to actually introduce them to us, or they will show us a character, but we don't get any information on that character. So we're just left wondering, who is that? And one of my big grievances with the story is that the movie has multiple time gaps in it. It'll be nighttime, and we're watching our main character Marie and her daughters on the hunt, searching for Shannon. They're in an intense mode and they're focusing on their mission, and it's the middle of the night. Then all of a sudden it cuts to the daytime and they're still in an intense mode. I'm so confused because what happened between night and day? Something's missing here. There's also a 1 year later time jump, and this drove me insane. The time jump gives you more questions than answers, like what the heck happened in that year's time? Did the cops just never solve the case of the other women? Did the trail go cold? The mom Marie was so intense, persistent, and determined about finding her daughter. Did she just stop pestering the police? Did she give up? Show us any of that. It's fine if you do a time jump. I personally don't like them, but it's fine if you do a time jump if you just at least wrap up a couple of loose ends by showing us a scene or two of what happened. For instance, you show us the cops not making any headway on the case, and they say, well, the trail's gone cold, time to pack it up. Something, anything, because right now it's just a gap in a year and we don't know what happened. Earlier in the movie, they bring up a section of land called the marsh where there could be possibly dead bodies buried there, and Marie was pestering the cops about going to check there. And then we get that year gap, and after the year gap, we see Marie talking to the cops, and she says, "Search the marsh, or I'm going to talk to the news about it." But why did you wait so long to make this threat? What was happening during that year-long gap? What was everybody doing? It's just way more questions than answers. Like I said, it's okay to have time gaps. This one was just handled very sloppily, and we're just missing a few scenes. The holes in the story also tie in with the problems with the directing, because some scenes are kind of strange. You'll be in the midst of an intense moment and then it just cuts, it just ends. And it just makes me wonder, how did that situation end in real life? How did the characters exit from one another? Did they hug it out and say have a nice day? Just what happened? And that happens a few times in the movie, and it's just frustrating. Also, some of the directing shots seem a little pointless. We'll have Marie pulling into the driveway of her house, and then they'll do a cut to a wide view of the neighborhood, and then it'll cut back to Marie inside her house. It's a pointless cut. I don't understand why you just didn't show Marie in her house in the next scene after she pulled into the driveway. One of the shots that made me laugh was of Marie ripping off a price tag off of the suit that she just got. And I don't know how to explain it, but it just seemed goofy. Like she rips it off with such intensity, like, get off of me, price tag, you're holding me back, I got business to handle. And that was just so humorous. I don't understand why that needed to be shown in the movie. It just seemed pointless. But moving on, the next thing I want to talk about is the dialogue. Some of it feels comical because of the way it was delivered, some of the dialogue is pointless and just there to fill space, and some of the dialogue just plain doesn't make sense. And here are a few examples. So these are the ones I would call just space fillers that don't make sense, they're just there to have someone talk in the scene. So Marie is talking to the cops, and then out of nowhere she says, "I will not be silenced." I guess this was supposed to come off as a dramatic moment. No one said that they were going to silence her. No one said anything about her shutting up whatsoever. No one said that she should be quiet about her situation. But yeah, she just wanted to blurt that out. Just felt pointless. It was there for no reason. Another space filler is near the beginning of the movie where the cops have found some bodies buried, and the news seems to be out there very quickly. One of the reporters asked, were all the bodies buried and left by the same person? And I can't remember specifically what the cop says, but I would have said, how the heck would I know that? Because we just got here. You just got here. How would any investigation have taken place between when we found the bodies and when you got here? It just was a dumb question. I don't understand why I was asked. And the last space filler I want to mention, now there are a bunch, I'm just telling you a couple, but this last one has Marie and her daughters in their home and they're watching the news. And the cop says something along the lines of, we don't think Shannon, the daughter who went missing, is a part of the case of the other women that we found, but we're going to keep looking for her. And one of Marie's daughters runs into the other room and she starts crying and she says, they're going to stop looking for Shannon. And I was like, that's the exact opposite of what this man just said. So I guess they just wanted that emotional moment to have an emotional moment, but it made no sense because it was the exact opposite of what she just heard. Now, before I move out of the dialogue section, I want to talk about two of my favorite interactions in the film. The first one has to do with a supposed suspect. So apparently there were cameras in the area where Shannon went missing, and the cops asked one of the suspects, hey, did you watch the footage? The specific person responds to the cop and says, no, I didn't look at the footage. That would be considered tampering. And the cop nods his head like, yep, I guess that would be considered tampering. And I just started to laugh because I'm like, no, that's not what tampering is. Tampering has to do with destroying the evidence or concealing it or altering it in some way. And if you're still not sure what tampering is, I'll use another movie that came out recently called Knives Out. If you've never seen Knives Out, there is a scene where security footage is on a VHS. And so one person takes a magnet and puts it against that VHS and it scrambles the footage. So it becomes unwatchable. That is what you would consider tampering with evidence. Watching security footage is not tampering with evidence. You're just watching it. That's all it is. So that made me laugh when they said it in the film. And my last favorite interaction of dialogue has to do with Marie and a woman who was in the security office. So Marie walks into the room where the security cameras are, and the lady inside there asks Marie, hey, are you with the news? Marie doesn't respond to the woman's questions, she asks her own question. And the lady proceeds to tell Marie all the information she needs to know. Then the lady asks who Marie is, like, hey, who are you? Marie again does not respond to the lady's question, but asks another question of her own. And instead of saying, wait, why isn't this lady asking my question and telling me who she is? The lady again answers Marie's questions and gives her all the information she needs. And I'm just like, lady, why are you telling her all this information? And then when the lady gets up and goes to talk to her husband, who is in the other room, she says, "Hey, there's a reporter over here. I think you need to talk to her." Marie never said she was a reporter. I guess this lady is just ignorant, but that part was hilarious to me. But that's all the dialogue fun. The last small thing I would like to mention is the acting, and specifically only one person's acting I want to talk about, and that is Thomasin McKenzie's. I hope I pronounced her name right. Her acting was very strange to me. It was pretty stale at points, and I gotta blame that on the directing because I just saw this woman in Jojo Rabbit and she was fantastic. If you haven't seen that movie, go watch that movie. But I don't know where her deal was in this film. But anyway, this movie took me multiple days to get through. It's very slow and it's frustrating to watch. It feels like someone took a true story and added too much Hollywood flavor into it, and it took away from the film. And basically, for me, it makes the whole movie just a waste of time. But that's all, peoples. Let me know what you think if you've seen this movie. Thanks for listening. Whatever. God bless. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later.